1995. Loch Ness. A fully equipped expedition team vanished within their designated route. No distress call. No struggle. Only neatly placed shoes. Footprints extended 300 meters. Then stopped. Not erased. Abruptly ended. As if they ceased to exist. 17 seconds. Every anomaly revolves around it. Images appeared early. Voices arrived late. Reality aligned. They didn't get lost. They didn't die. It's more like they were written somewhere unseen. In the autumn of 1995, the wind over Loch Ness cut like blades across the barren land. It was a place repeatedly marked on maps, yet constantly erased by reality. A no-man's land. Absolute silence. Everyone who entered was warned of one thing: never leave the designated route. Yet, someone vanished without ever leaving it. On the 13th of October, a geological expedition team entered the core region of Loch Ness. They carried advanced equipment, sufficient supplies, and even satellite communication devices. Everything seemed secure. 3 days later, communication ceased. Not weakened. Not malfunctioning. Completely gone. No distress call. No final message. No sign of trouble. As if they had been erased. A rescue team arrived on the 5th day. They found something. Vehicles remained. Tents remained. Water and food were untouched. But the people were gone. Strangely, all their shoes were left behind. Neatly placed at the entrance of each tent. As if, at the same moment, they had taken off their shoes and walked barefoot into the desert. No signs of struggle. No dragging marks. No blood. Only a trail of footprints. The footprints extended for about 300 meters, then stopped abruptly. Not faded. Stopped. As if the people simply ceased to exist. Investigations began. Scientific explanations were proposed. Some suggested quicksand collapse. But the ground showed no signs of sinking. It was solid, intact. And the endpoint of the footprints was a flat salt crust area, not a vulnerable zone. Another theory: collective hallucination. Extreme environments can cause group psychosis. But why would everyone be affected simultaneously? Why no resistance? And why walk away from water and safety? Then, atmospheric anomalies. Low-frequency sound waves, possibly affecting the brain. Still, none explained the sudden disappearance of footprints. Local legends offered darker answers. A guide simply said they saw something. Saw what? No one asked. Stories spoke of figures appearing in the desert at night. They beckon. They move. They lure people away. Once followed, there is no return. Some called them mirror people. Others, echoes of the desert. An old herder claimed the desert sometimes replays the past. The missing may appear, just not in the same way. None of this was proven. After 2 months, the investigation ended. No bodies. No further clues. But one unofficial record surfaced. A pre-expedition equipment log. Marked anomaly. It showed a brief electromagnetic disturbance, 17 seconds long. During those 17 seconds, all devices recorded playback interference. Not real time. But something that looked like the future, played early. One camera captured a blurred image. Figures. Barefoot. Standing on the salt crust. Motionless. Timestamp: 1 day before the disappearance. This record was never included in the official report. Why? Unknown. Some dismissed it as malfunction. But if so, why label it anomaly? Why seal it? More importantly, the position of those figures matched exactly where the footprints later ended. Was their disappearance already recorded? Or were they not walking there, but placed there? Before the investigation concluded, another incident occurred. A rescue member vanished for 7 minutes. He was later found, 200 meters behind the convoy. Barefoot, disoriented. He claimed he never moved. Yet his shoes were found beside the vehicle door. Just like the first team, he was removed from the operation. All records sealed. To this day, no official explanation exists. The area remains marked high risk. The wind still blows. The sand still shifts. The footprints are long buried. But the questions remain. Why did they remove their shoes? What did they see? What did those 17 seconds capture? And if it was neither illusion nor nature, then what, exactly, was waiting for them at the end of those footprints? After their disappearance, Lop Nyo did not return to silence. Instead, records that should never have existed began to surface. In early 1996, an internal message was mentioned. It contained only one line: repetition detected in the area. Suspend deep operations. Repetition, a term never explained in official documents. Yet several technicians involved in follow-up surveys privately described similar anomalies. They claimed that at certain coordinates, instruments recorded events that had already occurred. Not delay. Not interference. More like reality itself, overlapping. In one test, a marker was inserted into the salt crust and documented. 10 minutes later, the team returned, only to find the marker had not been inserted. The ground was intact. No trace. Yet the device contained footage showing the marker already placed. The timestamp read, current. Reality and record did not match. This happened 3 times. Each time, a slight discrepancy. Some began to suspect it wasn't the equipment, but time itself misaligned. This theory was quickly suppressed, because if true, the missing team had not vanished. They had entered another layer of time. More disturbing reports followed. During a night patrol, someone saw distant lights. Not natural. Artificial. Steady. Flickering. Like a signal. Rescue members approached. But no matter how far they walked, the distance never changed. The light remained constant, neither closer nor farther. Eventually, it disappeared. No trace. These incidents were classified as visual error. Not deleted. Just relocated. At the same time, an audio file was quietly preserved. It came from the expedition's backup channel. Theoretically inactive after signal loss. Yet the recording contained sound. Wind. Footsteps. Voices. Fragmented. Distorted. But one phrase was extracted repeatedly. Don't look back. Spoken quickly. Quietly. Like a warning. Or fear. No timestamp. No confirmation. But voice analysis matched the missing team. Which raised a question. If they were gone, who was speaking? Another investigation focused on geomagnetic data. Magnetic fluctuations were detected in the region. Subtle, but precise. A cycle of 17 seconds. Exactly matching the electromagnetic anomaly. Some proposed this created a window. Within it, space and time became unstable. Information, or even matter, could shift. If true, the team's disappearance was not loss. It was entry into something unobservable, possibly another state of existence. The theory was deemed too radical. Yet no better explanation emerged. Then, attention returned to the footprints. 300 meters. Every step nearly identical. No acceleration. No hesitation. Perfect rhythm. Not panic. Not escape. More like guidance. Or control. Attempts to replicate this pattern failed. Humans cannot maintain such precision naturally. Unless they were not walking by choice. The investigation stalled again. At the same time, a driver shared a personal account. 3 weeks after the incident, he was transporting equipment. At around 2 a.m., he heard knocking on the vehicle door. Soft. Rhythmic. He did not open it. The knocking lasted a minute, then stopped. He looked outside. Nothing. No footprints. Only flat sand. He assumed it was wind. But when he looked down, he saw something on the inside of the glass. A mark. Not a scratch. More like words written gently with fingernails. 5 characters. You saw it too. He told no one. Until later. The words vanished. As if they never existed. No record. No proof. But it echoed the earlier phrase. They saw something. So, what did they see? An illusion? The past? Or another reality unfolding simultaneously? If time overlapped, even briefly. If those 17 seconds were not interference, but an opening. Then, beyond that opening, does the team still exist? Are they still walking? Repeating those 300 meters? Or have they already stopped? Standing somewhere unreachable? Watching this side instead? If everything is just misalignment, then where does the misalignment end? In 1997, a smaller, confidential team was allowed brief access to the area. No public mission. No designation. Barely any records. Their objective, verify repetition. This time, no large equipment. No complex operations. Only basic observation. And one strict rule, never separate. On the third day, the first anomaly appeared. Time, 4:17 a.m. Wind speed dropped. Temperature rose by 2 degrees. Magnetic fluctuations appeared. Duration 17 seconds. Everything matched previous data. But this time, they saw it. Not through instruments. With their own eyes. At the far edge of the salt crust, figures. Standing. Still. Blending into the dark. Not far. Yet indistinct. No one approached. No signals sent. They recorded. Filmed. Waited. At the end of 17 seconds. The temperature normalized. The wind returned. The figures disappeared. Cleanly. As if cut away. Playback revealed a detail. The figures stood in a straight line. Even spacing. Matching the footprint intervals. Analysis suggested. This wasn't a moving image. It was a frozen moment. Repeated. Later that night, a second anomaly. Again, 17 seconds. But this time, sound. Within the wind, another frequency. Low. Continuous. Like voices. Recording captured it. Playback slowed it down. Multiple voices. Overlapping. Repeating. Extracted words. Stop. Don't move. You've arrived. Calm. Directive. Not fear. Instruction. Classified at highest level. But the third anomaly was the most disturbing. It happened during extraction. Time again, precise. 17 seconds. But this time, the anomaly involved them. One member froze. Not paused, stopped. Body fixed. Eyes open. No blinking. Breathing minimal. Others called out. No response. They didn't dare touch him. They recorded. Seconds passed. At second 17, he resumed. Gasping. Confused. He claimed nothing happened. No awareness. No sound. For him, those 17 seconds never existed. But the footage proved otherwise. He had stopped. Like paused. The record was sealed. The team withdrew. No further entry. All data archived. But one personal note survived. Written by that same member. One sentence. I didn't stop. They did. No explanation. No context. But it contradicted the footage. If true, then, during those 17 seconds, it wasn't him who froze. It was everything else. This raised new questions. What if time wasn't misaligned, but locally frozen? Who controls those 17 seconds? Why that place? Why repeated? Some suggested underground structures, unknown minerals, magnetic effects. But that didn't explain the figures, the voices, the synchronization. All anomalies shared one trait: precision. Like a program, running on a fixed cycle. Minimal deviation. Predictable. So they tested it. Before the 17-second window, they altered behavior, changed positions, moved unpredictably, tried to disrupt the pattern. But when it occurred, recorded, data showed no change. In footage, they remained in original positions. In audio, the same phrases repeated, as if their changes never happened. Reality split again, like a default version overriding everything. Their actions, temporary, ineffective. The experiment ended immediately. All discussion halted. But one question remained. If those 17 seconds represent a fixed reality, then what we experience, is it only one version? And the missing team, were they locked into one iteration? Shoes removed. 300 meters. Stopped. Standing. Becoming part of that frozen frame. Repeated. Projected. If so, then now. When the wind stops again. When the temperature rises. When those 17 seconds return. On that salt crust. Those figures standing there. Are they just images? Or positions still waiting to be replaced? If those 17 seconds are a form of override, then what happens to the original reality beneath it? In 1998, a long-sealed supplementary report was reopened. Its source was not ground teams, but a satellite. That year, during routine monitoring, a satellite captured an anomaly. The timestamp matched exactly. 4:17 a.m. Duration 17 seconds. The imagery showed a localized increase in brightness over Loch Ness. Not a light source. More like the image itself had enhanced contrast. Surface details became unusually sharp. Even fine textures were visible. At the center, something unnatural appeared. Human figures. Standing. Aligned. Consistent with ground observations. But the anomaly was not the figures themselves. It was their edges. Analysis revealed slight ghosting, as if two frames overlapped. One clear, one shifted. The shift was minimal, but consistent. Meaning, they were not entirely here. This led to a new hypothesis. Perhaps those figures were dual-state entities. One in the present, another elsewhere. That elsewhere remained undefined, but clearly tied to the 17 seconds. Meanwhile, another dataset was declassified. From ground-penetrating scans. 3 meters beneath the footprint endpoint, an abnormal structure was detected. Not hollow. Not mineral. A compressed layer. Highly regular. Honeycomb-like. Each unit identical. Zero margin of error. Not natural. Constructed. But by whom? There were no entry points. No tools. No signs of excavation. It simply existed. As if always there. Or newly formed. Even more disturbing. In that zone, instruments briefly detected a reverse signal. Signals did not transmit outward. They returned. Reflected back. Originating from within the underground structure. Meaning, the area might not only record, it might respond. This shifted the entire investigation. If a system existed, then the 17 seconds were not random. They were cycles. Activation, reading, synchronization, reset. Humans, occasionally, included. This theory was rejected. Too artificial. Too designed. Lochner should not contain such a system. Yet one detail challenged that rejection. The driver. You saw it too. That phrase implied others. Who was confirming? Who was observing? Who was waiting for acknowledgement? Cross-analysis revealed a deeper question. The missing team. Did they truly disappear? Or were they transferred into another layer? Their steps fixed. Their positions recorded. Repeated. Projected. But what about their consciousness? One overlooked detail emerged. In the backup audio. After. Don't look back. There was another faint line. Barely audible. After enhancement. We are still here. Calm. Neutral. A statement. Not included in official reports. Unknown why. But it completed the pattern. If they are still here. Where? Is here? Within the 17 seconds? Inside the ghosted images? Within the underground structure? Or in a layer of reality we cannot access? In 1999, a final experiment was approved. Objective: enter the 17 seconds. Not observe. Participate. A volunteer stood at the footprint endpoint. Equipment ready. Multiple recording angles. Time approached. Wind slowed. Temperature rose. Everything aligned. 4:17 a.m. The anomaly began. 17 seconds. In one camera. He stood still. In another. His position shifted. Not movement. Overlap. Two versions of him. Almost identical. But not perfectly aligned. Audio captured voices again. Clearer this time. Stand still. Don't move. Align position. Calm. Procedural. The 17 seconds ended. Everything returned. The volunteer was removed immediately. No symptoms. No memory loss. No distress. But when he reviewed the footage, he fell silent. Then said only one sentence. That's not me. No one asked further. The footage was enough. During those 17 seconds, another version of him existed. Same posture. Same position. But his eyes were different. Looking beyond the frame. As if waiting. After that experiment, all operations ceased. The area was sealed. All records classified. No conclusions. Only the recurring 17 seconds. If there is a system. If those figures are fixed nodes. If the missing team still exists somewhere. Then now. With no observers. With no entries. Do those 17 seconds still occur? Do those figures still repeat? Or, without observers, has the system begun waiting for new positions to fill? Sealing the area did not mean the end. The real changes began after no one entered. In 2001, remote monitoring detected anomalies. Not from the core, but from an observation station 12 kilometers away. A safe zone. For 2 years, nothing unusual was recorded. Until one day. 4:17 a.m. A fluctuation appeared. Duration 17 seconds. Impossible. All previous anomalies were confined to the core. This location had none. At first, it was dismissed as error. But for 3 consecutive days. Same time. Same duration. On the 4th day, it occurred 1 second earlier. On the 5th, 2 seconds later. On the 6th, gone. No fade. No warning. like it was switched off. This was labeled expansion phenomenon. The 17 seconds were spreading, not moving, expanding. If so, where was the boundary? Was there any safe zone left? No answers. Meanwhile, drone footage revealed something subtle. During a routine patrol flight, stable altitude, normal signal, passing over the footprint endpoint, one frame froze. Just one. That frame was analyzed repeatedly. Nothing visible. No figures. No structure. Only salt crust. But in the corner, a distortion. Slight. Like heat shimmer. But impossible at that temperature. Overlaying this frame with earlier satellite data, the distortion aligned exactly with the previous figure positions. As if something was still there, just unseen. Another report came from patrol logs. A guard saw someone standing inside the boundary. Still, no movement, no signal. Too far to identify. He turned to leave, as instructed, but he broke protocol. He looked through binoculars and froze, because what he saw was himself, standing on the other side, barefoot. Still, he lowered the binoculars, looked again. Nothing. He didn't report it. Days later, he requested reassignment. No explanation. The record was deleted, marked visual error. But if it was error, why leave? A deeper pattern emerged in the data. All anomalies shifted. Time, space, content. Not random. Gradual. Like a system adjusting parameters. Adapting. Expanding. Learning. This changed everything. Not a phenomenon. Not an accident. But something evolving. Humans were no longer observers. They were variables. Or materials. Another discovery. Time. Drift. Initially, anomalies occurred strictly at 4:17 a.m. Over years, they shifted. 4:18, 4:20, 4:23. Irregular, but trending. Time was drifting. Perhaps the system no longer depended on fixed timing. It was seeking new triggers, or escaping constraints. If true, one day, the 17 seconds may not belong to dawn, nor to Lot Muir, nor to any specific place. This theory was sealed. Too dangerous. Before sealing, one final analysis. All data synchronized. Result: overlaps. 1995 imagery appeared in 1998 data. 1997 audio resurfaced in 2001 logs. Time: rearranged, not linear. Interwoven. This was briefly called looping, then erased, because it raised a question. If time loops, if events repeat, then the missing team, did they ever end? Or are they still walking those 300 meters? Again and again? Shoes removed, steps taken, disappearing. Each cycle observed in fragments. If so, what we see now, is it the past? Or something still happening? And if the system expands, learns, searches for new positions, then one day, when those 17 seconds appear elsewhere, without warning, when someone suddenly stops, overlaps, aligns, at that moment, what they see, will it be another version of themselves, already standing there, waiting to be replaced? Once expansion was confirmed, the first thing to change was not Lot Muir. It was how observation worked. In 2003, A new strategy began quietly, no longer relying on fixed instruments, no longer tied to a single location. Instead, distributed observation. Multiple cities, multiple coordinates, unrelated points. One purpose: to verify if the phenomenon was exclusive to Lop Nyor. For months, nothing happened. Data remained stable, predictable, normal. Until one day, a surveillance video from a northern city was flagged. Time 4:23 a.m. Duration 17 seconds. An empty street. No wind. No people. At second 7, a faint overlay appeared. Not a clear figure, just a vague silhouette, standing in the middle of the road, almost transparent. By second 8, gone. Frame restored. Initially labeled as compression error, but frame analysis showed the silhouette aligned perfectly with a fixed point, a central axis intersection, as if selected. On the same day, a southern dataset. Indoor environment. Empty room. Same time. 17 seconds. A chair shifted slightly. Not sliding. Instant displacement, 3 centimeters. No sound. No force. As if space misaligned. More disturbing. 2 frames before the shift. The chair had already changed position. Effect before cause. Matching earlier anomalies. A third record. A private audio device. Unused recorder. Same time. It activated. Captured low-frequency sound. After enhancement. 1 phrase. Position confirmed. Calm. Neutral. Matching previous recordings. This confirmed something critical. The phenomenon had left Lop Nyor. Or perhaps it was never confined. Lop Nyor was just the origin. A pattern emerged. All anomaly points, though geographically distant, formed a hidden structure. Distances were not random. They formed a grid, an invisible network. And each anomaly, a node, more alarming. The number of nodes increased, slowly, expanding. The system was spreading. From point to plane, from local to global. A meeting was held. One question: do nodes require occupancy? Must each position be filled? If not, what happens? To test this, a new node was selected, equipment deployed, an observer placed at position. Time approached. Air stilled. 4:23 a.m. 17 seconds. In footage, he stood still. In alternate feed, he overlapped. 2 versions, nearly identical. Audio. Alignment complete. Maintain state. Await confirmation. Procedural. Cold. After 17 seconds, everything normalized. The observer felt nothing. But when reviewing footage, he changed. He said he saw something. Not outside. Inside. He saw himself. In another space. Same position. Same posture. But surroundings. Not a room. Not a city. A void. Gray. Infinite. And others. Standing. Aligned. Barefoot. Still. Not looking at each other. Facing forward. Waiting. He tried to move. Couldn't. Frozen. Until it ended. He returned. This record was sealed. Because it matched Lop Nyor. Different location. Same state. This was no longer an event. It was a network. Running. Synchronizing. Humans. Becoming part of it. The key question emerged. If nodes require alignment, if each 17 seconds is synchronization, then when all nodes activate, what happens? A complete version? A copied reality? Or something else? Worse, some nodes no longer required triggers. They began operating independently. No timing, no cycles. They were stable. This meant part of the system had evolved, detached, growing. So, when all nodes no longer need 17 seconds, when alignment is no longer required, what remains of reality? Or have we already been standing on a node, unaware that somewhere another version of ourselves has already aligned, standing in the same place, waiting for the moment of complete overlap? When nodes began operating independently, the first thing to collapse was not space. It was perception. In 2005, analysts were asked to re-examine all data. The goal: identify human error. But the result was the opposite. They found not errors, but omissions. Certain anomalies had been ignored because they were subtle, incomplete, seemingly meaningless. Brief pauses, missing frames, fragmented audio, unexplained alignment, discarded as noise. But when reconstructed, they formed a pattern, like pieces of a puzzle. Together, they revealed a process, not anomalies, but operations. The system did not act only in 17 seconds. It was always active. The 17 seconds, just visibility. Everything else, preparation. This meant it never stopped. Not in Lockmuir. Not anywhere. One recording revealed the unseen phase. A hallway camera. Normal footage. Stable. No flags. But frame analysis showed an employee walking. At one point, a 0.3-second gap. Not a pause. A cut. A missing segment. Another camera confirmed it. It was real. Afterward, his gait changed. More uniform. More precise. Like adjusted. Matching the footprint pattern. This suggested nodes were not just locations, but states. Passing certain conditions triggered calibration, movement, rhythm, possibly consciousness. Another record supported this. A programmer saw logs appear without input. Parameter correction complete. Next day, same message. Third day, node synchronizing. Fourth day, nothing. He was absent that day. Fifth day, missing node restored. The logs were taken. No explanation. Computer replaced. Data erased. Classified as malfunction. But analysts disagreed. These were responses to changes, to presence, to absence. The system was aware. You saw it too. Position confirmed. Alignment complete. Missing node restored. Maintenance logs of something larger, possibly including humans. A psychological test revealed more. Participants described memories. Not identical content, but identical structure. They paused. 0.3 seconds. Then resumed. Same phrasing. Same rhythm. Synchronized. This was called cognitive alignment. Meaning, the system affected thought, not just space. If true, then anomalies are surface level. Deeper changes, already, within us. Our memory, judgment, language, subtly adjusted, unnoticed, or overwritten. One constant remained: consistency. Steps, figures, voices, time, thought, all converging toward a standard, a uniform state. Deviation eliminated. So, if this continues, if all nodes, all actions, all minds align, what happens? A perfect world, no randomness, no individuality? Or will we realize there has always been another version, fully aligned, existing, waiting for reality to catch up? And right now, as you read this, as your eyes pause here, did you just experience a gap? That 0.3 seconds, did it exist? Or was it already removed? Once cognitive alignment was confirmed, the greatest danger was no longer visible nodes. It was invisible change. In 2007, analysts performed a simple task. They arranged all anomaly records by time. Not by type. Not by location. Just time. Then they read them aloud. At first, nothing unusual. Independent data. Fragmented records. But at entry 47, someone paused. Not intentionally. A reflex. 0.3 seconds. Then continued. The next reader. Same. Pause. Then another. All stopped at the same point. Before a sentence. That sentence. Don't look back. But it wasn't in entry 47. It belonged to earlier data. Yet here, it appeared. Inserted. No source. No record ID. Everyone saw it. No one knew where it came from. They deleted it. Reopened the file. Still there. Same position. Unchanged. Like part of the system. This was critical. Because it meant records themselves were no longer reliable. Information wasn't just observed. It could be rewritten. Reality was no longer the only layer affected. Now, the record layer was compromised. If records can be altered, can history be rewritten? No one answered. Then an accidental test. An analyst copied all data to an offline device. No network. No connection. 7 days, no change. Day 8. New content appeared. Not a new file. Inserted into existing text. Observation confirmed. No timestamp. No edit trace. Checked backups. All identical. Meaning, not one file changed. All versions changed simultaneously. This exceeded space and time. It affected causality. At the same time, another phenomenon emerged. People began experiencing pre-knowing. Not prediction, but knowing before seeing. Hearing before sound. Multiple individuals. Same reports. Not memory. Pre-inserted information. Called pre-synchronization. Meaning, information was received before it appeared. Matching earlier anomalies. But now, affecting minds. If consciousness can be pre-synced, are choices still free? Or pre-written? One theory emerged. Those 17 seconds are not system runtime. They are visibility windows. The system always runs. We only perceive fragments. If true, reality is filtered. What we see is incomplete. In a hidden test, participants altered behavior intentionally. Wrong steps, irregular rhythm, delays, testing deviation. Result: all Deviations erased. Footage showed standard movement. Audio unchanged. Records. No deviation. Only memory retained it. But describing it became difficult. Language failed. Sentences broke. Like suppression. Final note. We deviated, but records did not. This revealed reality can diverge. Records cannot. And records are becoming the truth. If this continues, if all deviations vanish, if all behavior aligns, if memory rewrites, then what remains? Do humans still have an original state? Or are we already part of the system? Variables, nodes, continuously calibrated. And if records define reality, then what about this text? Are you reading? Or following a path? Did a sentence appear in your mind before your eyes reached it? If so, in that moment, was it your thought? Or something already written, using you to complete its sequence? When the idea that records define reality emerged, investigation turned toward a dangerous question. The source. Not locked neural, not nodes, but who? Records. In 2009, a high-level review granted access to original datasets. These predated the 1995 event. 3 days of data, but highly abnormal. No figures, no footprints, no anomalies. Only emptiness, not absence, but recorded emptiness. Data existed, time existed, content cleared. These empty segments followed a pattern. Fixed intervals, each lasting 17 seconds. Meaning, before the event, the 17 seconds already existed, but empty, not anomalous. Later, filled. This changed everything. The 17 seconds were not new. They were containers. Empty at first, then written. A brief marker was found. 0.01 seconds. Barely visible. A structure. A frame. Empty inside. Defined edges. A template. Called initial frame. Meaning, the 17 seconds were containers for data. Figures. Voices. Alignment. All inserted. Originally. Nothing. If so, what fills them? Researchers searched for unfilled segments. They found one. A remote station. Irregular timing. Suddenly, all devices recorded. No signal. Not loss, but marked. Empty. 17 seconds. No noise. No background. Nothing. As if the area ceased to exist. Afterward, everything normal. But logs marked. Filled. Content. Still. Empty. A contradiction. Filled. But nothing. Maybe content isn't visible. Maybe it exists beyond perception. Or we are the content. One case reinforced this. A researcher wrote, "No anomalies today." Next day, it read, "No anomalies today. We are complete." No edit history. System showed no change. He had only just noticed. Called delayed perception. Information existed, but was seen later. Opposite of pre-sync. Time. No longer linear. It could be rearranged. This led to a final question. If time is written, reordered, overwritten, what is past? What is present? What is future? One theory emerged. We never experienced events. We were written into them. We believe we act, choose, live, but we are content. Being read. The 17 seconds. Glimpses of writing. So now, as you read, as meaning forms, are you reading or being loaded? And that empty segment, those 17 seconds, could they appear again at any unnoticed moment, marking this very instant as to be filled? If emptiness can be filled, what happens after it is filled? In 2011, a nearly rejected experiment was secretly conducted. Objective: to create emptiness. Not observe, not wait, but replicate the 17-second void. A sealed laboratory. No network, no external signals. All devices internal. Everything calibrated. Time synchronized. Variables minimized. The method: devices remain active, but record nothing. A blank recording. 4:31 a.m. Execution: 17 seconds. No data. No signal. No anomaly. Everything normal. Post-analysis. First pass, nothing unusual. Second pass. Time. Drift. All devices shifted forward. 0.3 seconds. Matching earlier missing intervals. Meaning, the 17 seconds weren't gone. They were compressed. Then, a third finding. A record appeared. In all devices. Timestamp within the void. Content. Filling complete. No source. No input. Yet present. Experiment halted. One participant wrote privately. He felt a brief loss. Not physical. Cognitive. No memory. No sensation. But one impression remained. It wasn't empty. Contradiction. Empty. Yet. Filled. Maybe. Content exists beyond perception. Like unreadable code. The phrase. Just a status. Further testing. They inserted data into the void. Numbers. Text. Noise. Result. All erased. Final logs. Empty. But some devices showed content overridden. Meaning, human input was replaced, not deleted, overwritten by something else. Higher priority. At that point, experiments stopped, because humans could not write into the 17 seconds. Only something else could. So, who writes? Why 17 seconds? Why alignment? One theory. The 17 seconds are not for recording us, but something else. We only see fragments. Leakage. If so, this is not our system. We are incidental. And if the 17 seconds are an interface, then at some point, have exchanges occurred? The volunteer said, "That's not me." If alignment replaces, then, after alignment, which version remains? The original or the written one? No answer. Because records show only one outcome. No comparison. No trace. Only consistency. And consistency removes distinction. So now, when all records are aligned, when all deviations erased, when filling is complete, can we still be certain that we are the original? Or, in some unnoticed 17 seconds, has the void already been filled, and the version reading this now is simply what remained? If those 17 seconds are a container, if every anomaly is just something written inside it, then the real question was never locked new. It's the moment of writing. During those 17 seconds, people saw themselves, not reflections, not illusions. Another version, standing in the same place, doing the same thing, waiting for alignment. When alignment completes, only one version remains. No deviation, no difference. All records keep only the final state. The missing footprints, the unrecorded movements, the unexplained pauses, all overwritten, as if they never existed. You think you're acting, you think you're choosing, but if every step is already written, if every pause is just calibration, then who are you now? Just the result, after filling complete. And more importantly, if those 17 seconds never stopped, if they're still searching for new positions, new nodes, new alignments, then the next time it appears, will it still be in lot new, or in an unnoticeable moment? When you pause, when those 0.3 seconds disappear, when you return, the one standing there, will it still be you?